Hi there, this is David and welcome to the top 10 best JRPG fathers. In celebration of Father's Day, I thought that it would be fun to highlight some of the best dads out there, and not the daddies that I highlight on my April Fool's videos either. Here, we're going to be looking at the real deal, the heroes who pull double duty as heroes to their families and to the world as they're out there saving it. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 10, Clive of Wild Arms 3. Released for the PlayStation 2. I love the Wild Arms series, so whenever I began thinking of fathers, Clive immediately came to my mind. All the characters in the franchise have such well-written, detailed backstories, but Clive is unique in the fact that he's on the older end of the spectrum at 30, and he's already established a family with his wife, Catherine, and surviving young daughter, Caitlin. As the de facto father of the group of drifters, he has a cool head and the brain of a scholar. He fights to protect his family and to avenge the death of his mentor, Professor Barret, who died in a blast that was meant to kill Clive, racking the poor man with guilt and leaving his older daughter Catherine without her fiancé. Number 9, Bowser of Super Mario RPG, released for the SNES. The Koopa King is such a doting father. He's even gifted his children airships, realms, and castles. First introduced in Super Mario Bros. 3, the Koopa Kids transformed the kings into animals and ruled the skies. Then, in Super Mario World, they each ruled over their own domain from a castle. When you first really get to meet Bowser and see how he ticks though, in Super Mario RPG, he really doesn't mention his kids at all. I guess they're all off just causing havoc somewhere. I mean, they did learn from the best after all. It just leaves you to wonder, who's their mother? Did Princess Toadstool secretly give birth to them while kidnapped? Or is Mrs. Koopa kept locked up in her own castle somewhere? Who knows? Number 8, Caim of Lost Odyssey, released for the Xbox 360. This is a sad story. Caim is a 1,000-year-old immortal wandering the land, fighting to pass the time and searching for his lost memories. In the not-so-distant past, he married his wife Sarah, and they both had a daughter, Liram. But then, the curse of immortality hit, and they both forgot about her. And, in her depression, Liram went and attempted suicide, but she did survive, kind of Celeste style, only to become infected with a terminal illness, and by the time that she's discovered by Caim again, she unfortunately succumbs to that illness. Though, her memory does live on through her own children, the twins Cook and Mac. Even after death, though, she still helps Caim out by delivering messages from beyond the grave. Number 7, Ronix Kenny of Star Ocean 1, released for the SNES and PSP. Ronix is unique on the list here, as he's one of the main characters in the first game, but then he also pops up again as the father of Claude, the protagonist of the second game. So Star Ocean really is a family affair. He was born on Earth and he captains the ship Calnus before he arrives on the underdeveloped planet Rook with his wife Ilia to save them from the stone sickness. Between the events of the first and the second game, he has a child, Claude, who follows in his footsteps, arriving on another underdeveloped planet, Expel, and Ronix spends most of his time in the second game just kind of searching around for Claude, only to find him and then tragically die in the explosion that destroys the planet. Number 6, Barret of Final Fantasy VII, released for the PlayStation and PC. As the leader of the eco-terrorist group Avalanche, when you first meet Barret, he's a bit rough around the edges to say the least. So my first time playing it, I was quite shocked to see that he was a doting father. It's nice when creators make multifaceted characters, and he's on a mission to destroy the Shinra after they ruin the planet and burn down his hometown. Marlene's true father, Dine, went missing after the destruction of the village, so he took it upon himself to adopt and raise her as his own. It's only much later on in the game, after you meet Dine in North Corel, that you tell him that Marlene is alive, but it's too late, and he's too far gone. And either way, Marlene loves Barret unconditionally anyway. Number 5, Maxim of Lufia 2, released for the SNES. Maxim could very well be my first instance of seeing a real true father in a JRPG. Beginning as a small-town monster hunter living with his girlfriend Tia, we have the privilege of watching him change and grow over the course of the journey. He goes from questioning his relationship with Tia to falling in love with the captain of the Parcelite army, Selen. They just have so much more in common than he and Tia ever did. So the two get married and they have a child, Jaren. But in order to make the world a safer place for him to grow up in, they sacrifice their time with their newborn and instead go off to destroy the Sinistrals. But that's not the only sacrifice that they make for their son. Poor guys. In number 4, Sazh of Final Fantasy XIII, released for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. Another JRPG father, another tragic story. Sazh is a widower who works as an airship pilot while taking care of his son Dodge. He's a wholly devoted father, and his son is his sole purpose in life. So whenever his time comes to be put on the chopping block and become a Sith, Sazh is distraught, but he still maintains a positive view. In stark contrast to Barret, he's upbeat, funny, youthful, and lively, while also being the most mature member of the group, as well as the voice of reason. Well, at least in the first game. By the time that you see him later on in Lightning Returns, he's kind of the opposite. Dodge is lost, and so is his light and his hope. This man lives only for his son, and he would do anything for him, even if that means having to star in 3 crappy games to do it. Number 3, Flint of Mother 3, released for the Game Boy Advance. Considering that the Mother series has a fondness for absentee fathers who only exist at the other end of the telephone, Flint is a godsend. He's the loving father of Klaus and Lucas, and he dotes over them as they live their lives out in the utopia of Tazmily Village. That is, until his entire world changes one rainy night. During the first chapter that you control him, he puts out fires and he protects the villagers, only for him to not be able to protect the one who he loves most. His adorable loving wife Hinawa is unceremoniously slaughtered, and the poor guy just loses it. However, later on, after he collects himself, he spends his days searching the mountains for the missing Klaus and visiting his late wife's grave. Number 2, Cassius of the Trails in the Sky series, released for the PSP and PC. This DILF is one hot daddy. As the true father of Estelle and the patriarch of the Bright family, he's an S-ranked bracer and leader of the Liberal National Army to boot. After the death of his wife, he raises Estelle on his own, while he's still working, and, well out one evening, he thwarts his own assassination attempt by Joshua, whom he then takes pity on and adopts as his own. He nurtures both of his children, raising them to become independent bracers themselves. Only when they do, history repeats, as they're attacked by the Ouroboros enforcer Ren, whom they then take pity on and adopt themselves. And Cassius, ever the great father, raises all 3 of them on his own. Number 1, Pappas of Dragon Quest V, released for multiple systems. The entire childhood arc just hurt my soul. Even though I first played this game as an adult when it was first translated for the SNES, I was just crushed by the entire story. Pappas is on a journey to find his missing wife, as well as the legendary hero, and he takes you, his son, along with him. As a child, your life is pretty carefree, and you follow Pappas from town to town. That is, until Prince Henry of Reinhardt Castle is kidnapped, and it takes both of you to go in and rescue him. However, that rescue attempt is thwarted by Gemma, who attacks Pappas, holds a sigil of hell against your throat, and then Pappas dies, with his last breath protecting you from certain death at the hands of the Demon Lord. Well, that's it for the top 10 best JRPG dads, and happy Father's Day from me to all the wonderful dads out there. If you like this video and want to do here on the channel, please consider supporting me over on Patreon, heading over to Twitch for some streaming fun, or joining the Discord to chat and hang out. The links to them all can be found in the video description. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.